So what I'm kind of looking at is where I guess it'll be more impactful to see where Shanghai ends up positioning on this. Let's find Shanghai's defense. All right, right here. So immediately what I'm noticing is that Shanghai does not want to give up the bridge space for free. So they're playing on that top right high ground. Um, Playing up here, and they're just not letting Valiant cross the bridge. At least not for free. Valiant, again, Tracer, I think it's Tracer Zen and Rhine are banned right now. This is melee. So we don't necessarily have the bug comps, but primarily what I'm going to be looking at, and this will ring true for the most part for the bug comps, is going to be support line positioning. And for the moment, you can see that Izyaki's just hanging out. Oh, it's Molly. They sub Molly in. So Molly's in this high ground position, hanging out with Fate. So I wouldn't actually be surprised if Molly played a similar position in the block comp. Maybe not so far forward behind the shield. It's a good whip shot. Fleta taking off angle with Li Zhegang pocket, and they're just avoids juggling card really well here. So they're not giving them any space for free, which is letting them build this. Hey, hold on. Lips 50% to Bob. Molly about 62% to Nano. Fleta's not doing so hot ultimate wise, but the Bob is going to be really important here because it's going to let Shanghai stall out the cart. If Fate can't touch it or Fate wants to play a high ground position and Void loses mech or runs out of mech. Runs out of resources on mech. Valiant recognize this. They're going to start setting up on flank angles. This is kind of what we talked about last night. There's no ball. Yeah, this is June Joust. So the elements that made ball strong are not there. There's no Zen, there's no Tracer available. But these were the VODs that I was able to find and that I just want to review, make sure my thought process is right regarding defensive rotations. If there's a ball VOD available that I'm missing, then maybe I'll look around a little bit more for that. So Fate's still hanging out on high ground. This is a extreme flank from Mulanran, but getting met by Fleta. Silver 3 doesn't get much with Nano. Where is backline here? Where is Shanghai's backline? Again, I don't think I have the replay code for this in the replay viewer, so it's gonna be a little scuffed trying to figure out where backline was. It seems like backline just got way too isolated by the Nano. So backline probably rotated underneath, dropped and rotated underneath to try and deal with the Nano Monkey and the flank angles, and they just died. And this is the sort of off-angling that we talked about last night in terms of our attack. If we can win a fight, even if it's not an incredibly clean fight, and get set up on the high ground to Crystal's right, as well as on that off-angle, we can just hard spam the other team while they cross bridge and hopefully deny the recontest. Fate's able to make it across, and this could be really bad for Valiant. So that... Oh... I forget I'm not in replay viewer, so Control P doesn't do much. So that Bob's really valuable because it means Fate doesn't have to commit too many resources to cart. You can just juggle that corner that we see to the right, hanging out in here. How in the world does High B res Silver 3? That's crazy. Because Silver 3 died behind. And they got the card. Okay. I think it was a pretty huge mistake to let High B get the res off. Because Shanghai probably win that. Okay, so first... Oh my goodness. First point defensive rotations. Are likely going to be... We're planning to run full ball count for this. So our first point defensive rotations are going to be centered around first this high ground right here. So having our having our Zen Brig at least starting on this close high ground. And this is one of the critical points for first point. Because this high ground lets our backline control really good angles, control the high ground, control bridge. They don't have a great angle onto bridge. In fact, a fallback position that we'll probably look to take is either in this mega or more likely on this mini, because it's going to let us control really long sight lines while also deny flanks. The benefit to playing on mega here instead is that we can deny this flank, we've got a mega to our back, and we also deny the rotation to high ground. It also means our rotation out is a little easier, right? I actually think this rotation out is more exposed because no one's if they're on a monkey comp or they're on a ball comp, disengage for a ball and for an echo or for a tracer like following up and behind us could be really dangerous for us to cross. So I think the safest rotation is going to be dropping from this and rotating back towards mini, with a secondary rotation back towards mega for our Briggs in. Again, talking about Briggs in right now. This position lets us capitalize off winning the resource war as well. So if they run like the ball comp and we're able to pocket our tracer who's denying this flank, pocket our Sombra as well, potentially our Diva who can be denying these spaces and toggling cart. As soon as we get a resource advantage from either our ball engage or forcing their engage away from us, our Briggs in are able to drop and push very easily, get on top of the enemy team. Just going to help our Brig get a little more value, and it means we can also chase more easily. So that starting position is stronger than starting from like tree because it's such a long rotation in that when we get a resource advantage, we're not going to be able to capitalize on it. A secondary position, so let's say we get forced off of high ground, our Briggs in gets forced off high. Secondary position is on this doorway. If we're still neutral, right, no team really has an advantage in the fight, we can play this doorway and that gives us a really strong sightline here, really strong sightline to pocket our Diva here. We can watch this flank pretty easily, and this flank is a little risky as well as a rotation from a DPS along high ground, but the benefit of this position is if we end up winning the resource war, let's say carts are hanging out right here, we start to win the resource war, our Diva can push from this angle and our supports can walk in from this angle, and once again we're able to capitalize off of the enemy being down resources. So that's good. If we start to run into issues, like let's say we go down in resources or our Diva just can't hold cart anymore and we've run out of stabilizing resources, so our ball can't come and touch, our tracer can't touch, we're going to look to juggle the touches a little longer to get our support line back into this mini, and then the further rotation for our supports is just out and back along bridge. Pretty much we're going to avoid this section of the map because it's far too vulnerable and we have no way to really back out effectively, right? We'd have to back out across long sight lines and into very diveable positions. So we want to just avoid this area of the map. What's up, Virgo? How's it going? Oh, Turbo's in here as well. How's it going, guys? I think the other thing that we saw on both attack and defense was Fleta pressuring these angles and then also meeting Crystal. So Crystal rotated along this backside on the Valiant attack, and Fleta went to meet and just deny those off angles. So our DPS's job is primarily to control off angles while our diva juggles cart. And then once we've caught the engage and potentially forced those resources out, so the enemy flankers have to reset, that's when we look for our own hard engage from like our ball slamming in, and then we get our DPS involved as well. So defensively, what Virgo you'll be looking for, and Sunky will be looking for, Turbo what you'll be looking for on Diva is that moment where they've maybe overextended a little too much on the flank angles, if they're on a ball comp or a dive comp, and we force them out. Once we force them out, that's our cue, right? We're looking for some form of aggressive engage. Traffic during all of this time is also meeting the flankers, looking for potential like dives onto flankers if they get overextended, but also just peeling and helping our diva a little bit on cart. And then when they're down resources, we go. And it's not bad for these fights to take a long time because with Briggs in, our defensive support ults are extremely powerful. So if the fight goes too long and both teams get ultimates, that's kind of okay for us because we'll have rally for stabilization or trance to farm our rally and then re-engage. Okay. Secondary positioning is pretty straightforward. Our backline rotates through here as we start to lose resources. Play from the backside of bridge. Diva, Ball are going to be juggling cart at this point in time. We're pretty much never going to look for an engage past choke unless we have ultimates to do it or they've already committed, mess up their engage, and we're counter pushing while they're down resources. So we're playing very defensively until we get a Trent, a rally, maybe even a minefield to push out here, an EMP, right? There's no reason for us to push out into this space until they've overcommitted resources. At the same time, our Tracer and Sombra are going to be... We probably want to get a hack on this health pack because that's going to help our ball a lot with potential roll-throughs or spams. Right, so Traffic, you're not looking for slams or hard engages. You're just looking for like roll-throughs and drawing attention. Or spamming them, right? Spamming from this high ground, slamming, and then grappling back out. Stuff like that. So denying the flanks, denying the high ground. Sometimes Turbo may have to go contest high ground, which would require our Tracer, Ball, or potentially like our Brig to contest cart, which is fine. So that's our general positioning on defense. We want to start on this high ground, and then gradually, as we get forced back, we rotate our backline towards bridge. Ideally, we don't want our backline to have to rotate out of this position, okay? Because if our backline is forced to rotate across bridge, if we do get an advantage in the fight, it takes a lot longer for them to repush and help us win the fight. But if our supports are going to play from this position or this position, we have to make sure we're clearing the flanks and we're clearing the high ground. So that's our Ball, our Diva, our Tracer's job, our Sombra's job. Okay, let's take a look at second point. So again, this isn't, for those who've just joined, this isn't a Ball comp VOD. Both teams, Shanghai's playing the Orisa Diva defensively, and Valiant is pushing with a monkey comp. But primarily what I'm looking at is just the support positioning. If you guys have ideas for other VODs to look at, that's fine. I welcome the ideas. So it's kind of a similar story on second point where Shanghai want to take that first high ground in a pretty defensive position, but also just not giving Valiant any space to work with. It cost them Fate for it. I don't know where exactly that went wrong. It might just be that they've got Molly in instead of Itzyaki, and so the synergy isn't quite there. This is kind of a clown fiesta on second point. We'll see if they can hold this and then retake some space. So how do they re-engage this fight? They're just going to walk main and hard pocket Fate to point. Bob is going to be helpful. We'll probably see Fleta gets nanoed and goes in. This should be a hold. Yeah, this is going to be a hold. Okay, let's see where Shanghai positions. So on retake, they didn't take any crazy rotations. They just had their backline walk forward and pocket tanks, which is likely what we'll be doing. We might have to invest ults, because likely that the teams we play against will invest ults in that situation. Fleta beaming the wall. Nice job, Fleta. Okay. Yeah, we're going to see the supports positioning on high ground. Lip is already pressuring the space across bridge. We're not really going to be able to take advantage of that if we keep the Tracer Sombra for this defense. The Echo and the Ash do a much better job at pressuring the bridge here. It's a creative rotation from the Valiant tank line along bottom right. Li Jiagong's still on the brig, and they're just going to be holding stairs. So what this position gives Li Jiagong is the ability to, once again, same as first point, when they get a resource advantage, it's easy for him to push in and capitalize on it. And when they are at a resource disadvantage, all Li Jiagong has to do is kite downstairs. So that's probably going to be our Zen break positioning on defense as well. At this point, both teams are just skirmishing. They're looking to build ults. Void is holding cart. And Void is holding cart here so Fate doesn't have to drop. It's a very similar story to what we'll be doing in Ball Comp, where we have our Diva touching cart, and then when it's needed, we have our ball player come in and help a little bit. And then as soon as the engage comes in, that nano from Weah, as soon as that nano comes in, the immediate response from Shanghai is to invest in ult, right? They invest. They might have bobbed this fight as well. I think they probably bobbed. So Bob comes in from Lip, and Fleta uses copy, and they just re-push the engagement back out. Good discipline from Li Jiagong. It was probably calmed that they wouldn't need the rally to force out that initial engage. In fact, the rally is going to be extremely useful against the Primal, because it's going to let Li Jiagong stabilize and also hard pocket Molly. Fleta goes and bombs their spawn. I don't know how Lip dies there. That's bad though. Probably got caught on the high ground, peeking without a shield. Let's look where, oh gosh, I'm doing it again. Let's look where, Molly was at the beginning of that fight. Where is Molly? Because Li Jiagong is on the high ground right now. Brig is on the high ground, just to the right, so you can see Li Jiagong right here, and Molly's hanging out on the low ground. This kind of makes sense because Fate is not able to control this top space at the moment, right? So because Fate is on the ground and can't control this high ground flank location, right? Molly is not positioned too aggressively up the stairs, like over here, because the flank angle both isn't getting taken care of, and also Molly's about to have to pocket tanks on point. So Molly would not be able to, or it would be really tough for Molly to pocket the tanks on point from a high ground position while also being aware and ready for some form of engagement along the high ground. So at this point, it's safer for Molly to just kite back and play probably around the pillar right here. Much better sideline onto tank line to hold the corner, and they can just leave Li Zhigang towards high ground with the rally to hard push if they need to. You know, the other thing they might have calmed is that Valiant had the bomb, and they might have been looking for the bomb engage. So Mali kited back because if the bomb gets thrown over the top of these stairs on this angle, like it did, right? Mali doesn't want to have to rely on Li Zhigang's shield for that block. And the other option would be like walking into room to get out of LOS, which is really risky if there are flankers pushing high ground. So pretty smart positioning from Dragons. Mali in particular. Raid boss. Yeah, I think this is probably where we'll want our Zen at least. Our Brig Zen will probably be playing more together than the Ana and Brig are playing in this composition, but a lot of the positioning will be similar. This position for the Brig Zen as Cart moves towards the end of points, Cart's like right here, is strong for the same reasons as earlier, where we get a resource advantage, we can push out. If we start to lose resources, we just kite towards this back angle and we can still pocket point. So this fight is going to be heavily reliant on Li Zhigong farming that rally, Mali farming that nano, and Lip farming that Bob. So there's no reason to overextend for Shanghai here. Void's not going to push this fight because he knows they're down resources. They just lost Fate. They get the Bob though, so as soon as Bob goes out, that's the cue, right? They know the Valiant are down resources and they're going to push it. They don't get much, so what does Void do? Kites towards back of point, and they're just going to stabilize. There's no reason to overextend. They have they have closer spawns and a more consistent DPS angle, right? Because Fleta and Lip can take this position, this position, this position, and where do Crystal and Molanrong have to play? To play from main, right? So there's an automatic defensive surround, right, off angle onto Cart that Shanghai don't have to push past until they get a resource advantage. And when they get that resource advantage, they push. Cool. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see much of third point, but third point is a lot more straightforward. So now let's talk about our Briggs and Ball comp positioning here. We'll likely start. So let's say we've just lost the point here, which means we're gonna have most of our spawns coming out of this door right here, while most of the opponent spawns or players are gonna be starting to walk across bridge, and if they're smart, they're gonna be taking high ground as soon as possible. So the initial skirmish and fight is gonna take place here. Our Briggs in will rotate these stairs. And once again, we get resource advantage, we push, we start to lose resources, we kite downstairs. There's no reason to overcommit in these fights, right? We're using our ball and tracer rotations, likely on off angles, to create the space. Like maybe even our Sombra rotating underneath here. That could be good. So Sombra rotates here. We have our tracer rotate on off angle here. And then we have our core rotate upstairs. And I should clarify, this Sombra positioning is on low ground at the moment, right? Because if our Sombra, let's use a different color for Sombra. So if our Sombra is trying to rotate along this high ground in invis while they're pushing high ground, it's not going to work out very well. It's just going to get scouted. Whereas if our Sombra takes this rotation underneath, there are a lot of pretty good angles for like hack onto high ground, as well as if you can't find anything from under there, whether spamming or otherwise, you can go invis out and along behind them. So our Sombra stages under and then potentially behind. We have our tracer stage here, and our core rotates upstairs for engagement on corner. If we get a resource advantage, we really want to push it, because at this point, Cart will likely be Let's see. Black's not a great color. Cart's going to be around this position, moving towards this position, right? So if we get resource advantage and we can push them back and win the fight here with ultimates, we're going to be in a great spot because Cart will now be moving backwards towards bridge, and we can set up our Briggs in to get a really good spam angle. Right? Our Diva could even contest from low ground under here in doorway and get like harmony and pack from Zen Brig on high ground. So that's our retake fight on second after they've capped first. And then as we get forced out, we're going to look to do essentially what we saw from the VOD, where we could have our Brig continue to stage on this high ground, our Zen continue to stage on this high ground, unless we know they have powerful ultimates. So we'll have our Zen here, our Brig here. Unless we recognize they have ults like Diva Bomb, or potentially like Mine's about to come in. Right, enemy ball comes in with Mines and mines this high ground. In which case, we'll probably get more value from having our Zen playing this corner while Brig plays high ground. So if we're expecting dangerous ultimates to come through, our Zen is going to be playing from this corner. Brig is going to be playing still from high ground. Unless we scout they've all rotated and they're on like a brawl pushing the high ground, in which case our Brig should play in a more passive position. And what this does is it puts them in a precarious position. If they try and overextend to get our Zen, our Brig can double pack him on this angle, right? And also back up and peel. But it also gives our Zen a really good sideline onto Cart. So as Cart hits this corner right here, our Zen being able to spam along this sideline, right, while keeping harmony on high and having really good flank angle scouting down lanes is going to be strong. So that's Zen positioning. Brig positioning will be a little more aggressive. Tracer and Sombra positioning are going to be similar to how we would take the retake fight on second point. So as we take stairs, let's say we've lost this initial fight, our Tracer and Sombra will need to find flank angles. So Cart's moving, it's starting to hit this corner. Our Tracer and Sombra need to find ways to set up. So maybe Sombra rotates alongside to Mega, gets a hack on Mega, and then hard spams Cart and forces resources out. So this is Sombra. While Tracer is pushing upstairs with a Brig pocket, so Tracer's right here, and Zen pocket, and starting to clear this high ground. Our Diva will be on Cart, and our Briggs in will be in the positions we just talked about, on the stairs and then on that corner if we expect a big ult to come out, or if our Zen needs to do more line of sight damage towards Cart, right? So I should clarify. Zen is in this position. We'll call this position 1. If the majority of their composition is pushing Cart along low ground, because he has much better sightlines to damage Cart and to pressure Cart. Whereas if the enemy team is pressuring high ground pretty aggressively, it's going to be better for Zen to position from high ground. So like on this corner, because if we get a resource advantage, it's easier for Zen to get in and help, right? Zen's not going to have great sightlines in a high ground fight in this area, right, along these high grounds, in either of these two positions. So we just want to get Zen closer so we can follow up on a resource advantage. Third point, the Zen break still works really well on defense here, because there are a lot of close corners you can hold as the Zen and Brig that allow you to capitalize on resource advantage and also control flank angles. So even like playing here as a support line and then bouncing forward towards this angle as we get resources, then this angle, and then this angle, right? The checkpoints are pretty straightforward for Brig Zen. and even stronger here. Right in this scenario, this is where we might have traffic switch onto the Orisa. So, and that's for the reason that if we start to get resource advantage or we're just skirmishing around cart, it's going to be a game changer to have fortify and a shield, along with potentially supercharging. Now, the downside to that is traffic hasn't played a bunch of Wrecking Ball. A bunch of Orisa, but picking up very rapidly at the moment. Also, we wouldn't be able to push out and capitalize on resource advantage as much, though that's not that's not so much a problem in this situation, for the same reason that repushing bridge on first point defense can still be fine with a Wrecking Ball, because you could mine this area, you could push out with a trance or with a rally, so you're just kind of biding your time. The downtime for Brawl, so that's a great question, Pong. One of the issues with holding, okay, let's map this out. Cards right here. We're thinking about Orisa positioning. So Pong's asking, should we have our Orisa playing from this close right side instead of close left, because it gives a better sightline down main. And that's true to an extent, but what that also does is it gives the defenders a better sightline onto Orisa and a much more linear aggression onto her if we go down resources. So we start to go down resources. Where's our Orisa kiting to stay out of LOS? She's kiting towards a potential flank angle, right? This left side flank angle is much stronger for the attackers than the right side flank angle, because the right side flank angle has very tight chokes and no health pack, right? Much easier to scout, much easier to defend with our Briggs in. The other thing is our Briggs in want to be playing on this side, right? For similar reasons. This flank angle is stronger, and Briggs in can deny this flank angle very easily, right? So if an enemy were to flank on this side and we had our Briggs in on this corner, it's a lot harder to deal with this flank than it is if we have our Briggs in over here, hard spamming that angle or bashing this doorway as needed. So how does that reflect on our Orisa positioning? That's a very wide card. If our Orisa is playing from the right side of cart and starts to lose resources, to safely kite out, she has to back up along this angle, right? Because if she backs up this way, she's going to be an enemy LOS for even longer, right? A substantial period of time. If she's backing up along this angle as well, she's also kiting away from our Briggs in positioning on this corner, right? Our Zen Brig are hanging out here, which means they can't help as much. If somebody chases, there's no Brig bash there to help Orisa, right? On top of all of that, it's going to be easier to punish the enemies hard swinging this corner to follow our Orisa than it is to punish them just walking straight, right? So if our Orisa's here, you're kind of baiting a punishment if you play from left-sided choke. So Orisa hanging out here denies a lot of the angles the enemy has to take to get on top of her and forces them to swing really wide, take an even longer rotation through enemy LOS, and then forces them into a very predictable flank angle. If our Orisa starts to lose resources and kites out here, that opens them up to our Tracer and Sombra hard engaging on their flanks. Right? It's much safer to have our Tracer Sombra and potentially even Ball playing from this right side and denying room, as well as capitalizing off of... Sorry, this wouldn't be Ball. This would be Diva. My bad. But capitalizing off of the enemy hard pushing our Orisa. That's a very lengthy explanation, but a good question. Again, Ball works here. But if we get Traffic's Orisa to a good position, Orisa could be a really strong anchor here. Any questions or additional thoughts from chat? Let's see if we can find other Rialto. I don't know that they played Rialto in playoffs. Hanzo comp? On third point? Put me in. Orisa's exciting to play. Orisa is exciting to play. At least in a team environment. Being exclusively asked to play Orisa is a nightmare, though. At least it'd be a nightmare for me. I do actually want to show this off, because I've been looking for an excuse to show this off in a VOD. So this is Grand Finals. Dragons up 2-0 at this point in Grand Finals this last year. Stunky, are you suggesting Hanzo comp for defense in those positions? Because I don't think that's a horrible idea on third point. If we make the transition towards Orisa and we make the transition towards Hanzo, I think that could be strong. Dragon's going to be scouting. Oh, they're going to run it out on this. Okay. I see your reasoning. Except sometimes Tracer is better, I think. Right? Okay. Good to know. So at this point, we've kind of concluded the Rialto talk. I'm going to update the title a little bit. If you guys have more questions about Rialto, let me know. So we will be playing King's Row, I believe, right? So Shanghai on the poke style, Balkamp, Zen Baptiste, and Baptiste is strong here because your Zen can take extraordinarily defensive positions, right, from these high grounds. There's very little threat on your Zen. Brig would be getting next to no value, and Bap can exploit these high ground positions, I suppose. I'm wondering why they don't just play Mercy. Atlanta on the Brawl as they usually are. Lip just gets deleted. But these different angles Shanghai can take are, I think, going to be too strong in the long run. Wow, Fate just fed. But that means they kill Iris. Ash defense and stick it on all. I think what we talked about last night was running the Tracer Sombra defense. So that's how I oriented the rotation review today, was for the Tracer Sombra defense. Though your positioning on Ash would be centered around our support line. So you'd be positioning close to where our supports are positioning. I think the Tracer Sombra gives us more flexibility on defense, uh, it would be a bit more stagnant with the Ash. Rain are just getting comp diffed. So what Rain have to do is disrupt the different angles that no Ash on first point. Well, I mean, we could run the Ash on first point and really exploit that high ground positioning. But at that point, you would be a extremely diveable target on the Ash. Right? So our Brig would have to both defend you and defend Arsene, which could get complicated at certain points. So it's an option. And we can try it and scrim and just see how it works. It might be worth trying it tonight. That was a great play from Pelican. Trying to find some sort of value. There's this moment that I want to highlight on King's Row that Shanghai realizes they can punish Rain's brawl comp without needing the ball. So they end up switching to Orisa and then play double shield to near perfection while Rain is unable to counter it. That's what I usually play, far back with supports. Yeah. So what I'm worried about there is we'd be losing out on... I know we've been scrimming that, right? But the whole point of the composition discussions we've been having and the rotation discussions we've been having is how are we going to be the most flexible in playoffs against what we expect the best teams to be running, right? And I fear that with the Ash, we're going to lack the damage output. Sorry, not the damage output. The follow-up that a Tracer could provide when chasing down and cleaning up fights. What we trade out would be more consistent damage at longer range from Ash with the added benefit of a ultimate in Bob that's really good at holding down point, which is something our composition struggles at a little bit. So it comes down to playstyle at that point. If you're more comfortable on the Ash in that situation and you think you can find more value from Ash, I think we run Ash. But having the follow-up from the Tracer could prove very beneficial. Big flex. Do you guys have a preference who we spectate, or do you want to stay in third-person perspective from height? What's most fun? You could watch some Fleta Tracer, I suppose. So how are you supposed to play Tracer against this brawl comp? On first point defense? Yeah, we're eventually gonna see it. But I think it's gonna be in the second round of attack defense. Yeah, you're just farming pulse, looking for picks, and as the enemy team loses resources, you're darting in for backline kills. It's so fun to watch Owl level Tracer. I hope Tracer's meta still in Overwatch 2. Wow, Iris just evaporated. the counter dive and peel. The video I sent from Egoist today gives a lot more context to catching engages, especially against Brawl Comp. So as Brawl Comp, how do you catch a Brawl engage and then repush? It's worth a watch. And Rain's DPS are just switching all over the place. We stabilize. That was a great engage onto Kai. It's just clean up at this point. I'm kind of interested at how Void played that. Hold on. I'm gonna run it back at a very fast pace. Spectator moving. Alright, let's see how Void is playing this. So he's pushing with team. This is going to be the end of second point fight. Fighting on cart, staging. They're going to catch, so check this out. They're going to catch Atlanta Rain's engage. And then as Rain loses resources, if Rain had played it a little better and stabilized, right, they'd have used a lot of their resources for their engage. And that's when Shanghai would re-engage. Let's actually look at Fate's cooldown at this point. Yeah, so Fate still has Pile Driver and Grapple by the time Rain run out of resources. Right, he's more than ready to capitalize on that. And Fate's just doing his job playing card. That's cool. Yeah. Okay, cool. Some of these positions that Void is taking are... So the Sigma is taking... Let's look at this right here. This is textbook ball sig comp. So Void is watching them as they engage. Fate, this grapple spot pong. Check this out. This is sick from Fate. Let's go back a little bit. So Fate's job here is to keep Gator and Hawk from getting on top of Void in the backline. So he sticks the grapple, and he's just going to spin in circles, knocking the Reinhardt back, and then eventually slamming. That's hilarious. So that's why Void just doesn't get run over. Then we watched out the rest of this. So Void is relying pretty heavily on Fate's engages. Okay. I'm pretty sure we see a double shield comp come out, because I think Rain have a good attack. Void dies just from spam. And this was the pretty classic counter to ball comp. Yeah. silly nerfs. So this Brig Bat Torb, generally it'd be cast, but Kai's Hanzo is pretty cracked. And it just makes it so hard for Ball to get engages. So Dragons make the swap towards Orisa and they say, hey, we'll match the double shield. And I believe Rain eventually switched back towards Ryan comp. Let's see how this goes. Because historically Ryan comp has beaten double shield on this point. Interesting that Flood is on the Mei with the double shield. It makes me think Dragons were anticipating the swap towards Brawl from Atlanta, and they wanted the spacing that wall would give them. Wow, Void is just taking so much damage. We'll probably see windows from both sides, yep. Really good immortality from Li Zhegong. Void is on a nasty off angle, but might get split by that dragon. Transcendence is too late, that's going to cost them in the long run. Masa gets walled and dies. So in general, Shanghai are just proving to be the better double shield team here. I wouldn't be surprised if after this ult cycle Rain makes the switch. Rain is also losing a lot of value having Masa on the Brig and not on the Zen. And Masa's running the Brig here because they expected the bot comp out of Shanghai. Just hasn't had a chance to swap with Rally. So this should be a rally. Yeah, we're going to get a rally response. Counterflux, Blizzard from Fleta to respond to the push. That's a really big Blizzard. There's not enough follow-up. Elena just used 6 ults. They need to finish out this fight now. That's crazy. So, yeah. Atlanta uses 6 ults, and they're still fighting extremely hard to clean out this fight. Iris gets 2 windows in that fight. Gator's pretty flexible. I mean, they are in the grand finals of Owl, Stonky. I'm pretty sure he knows a little bit. Oh, C9. Yeah, I think Rain have a pretty decent attack here. But that was a huge investment from them. And Shanghai win the fight, so they just C9. That was a pretty bad C9 from Shanghai. Not too much to talk about in terms of rotations on this map. Very linear. The high grounds you can take are super isolated, and it takes so long to get to them. Right, this rotation up and around just to get booped off by a Lucio or something doesn't make much sense. Shanghai spawn holding? Let's watch that back. Yeah, Pelican was so good throughout playoffs. He was one of the biggest reasons Rain made it. Look at this dragon from Lip. It's like, guys, watch this. I'm going to dragon and hard split them, and then all we have to do is just walk on the 3 people in the room. Lip with a triple. I'm really curious. I feel like I remember Rain switching to Brawl on their offense. There's Gator on the Rhine. But they're still on the... Gator's just going to have the worst time, I think. Because they're about to walk into a supercharger. Right? Fleta hides in blizzards. Oh, they were about to walk into a blizzard. Fate does die, though, which means they'll probably get a repush unless they get Gator here. Counter Blizzard from Pelican. Trance in response. Yeah, this isn't going anywhere. Yeah, thank goodness they didn't exist there. I mean, Lit made it work regardless. Now they're walking into a supercharger. Okay, they're gonna win the fight. Counterflux, that was a bad flux. They all had rally armor. Oh, dragons are throwing. They're gonna want all of those ults back. I mean, it's the mentality of we can't lose a fight, which is good stuff. But they lost a fight, and they just used everything. Genji in the grand finals! Okay, we have to spec the Genji, right? Pelican's gonna get enormous value. Right? Surely. Big deflect, almost gets a kill. Oh. Guys, kill the Orisa. Guys, kill the Orisa. Yeah, Shanghai messed up using all those ults. I want those back. Look at the value. He almost has Blade. Alright. So about a minute and a half separating the two teams. Shanghai, I don't believe even tried the Balkan. They're just going to go straight to double shield on their defense here. So remember, this is Shanghai playing double shield against the best Brawl team in the world. At this time. Right? These guys knocked out Gladiators. They knocked out Shock. Knocked out Fuel. Best Brawl team in the world right now. So let's see how they do it. Fleta gets picked. Atlanta gets a lot of space from it. Fate probably should die here. They're going to re-push out. Kai's getting really good picks. So Atlanta should get first point. Off the back of some good picks. I don't think Fleta's having much impact on the Tracer here. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Mei switch. Fleta should die point and then switch Mei. Or save Pulse. He's probably going to look for a sneaky Pulse. Ten seconds, re-engage fight. Overtime hits. And Atlanta's going to use a lot here. Because they have to. So that's copy. The only thing they really have left is Hawk's Flux. And they've only gotten Fate at this point. Which is pretty dangerous. They're going to get Void here. That's big. Again, I don't think Flood is doing much. Yeah, you... Hanzo's good everywhere, right? Well, if you look at the Dragon's comp, though, the Flex DPS is playing the Tracer. Right. So you'd... I guess you're a hit scan. So you'd be on the Hanzo. That's a really good dragon. Followed by Flex. Yeah. That's bad. King's Row, Havana, Ike. Yeah. I'm not opposed to a Sigma Hanzo on King's Row attack. What do you guys think about that? Sig Hanzo, Bap, Zen, Ball, Tracer on attack. Let's see what dragons do. Because that's a lot of pick potential. Okay. This is a good TP. Good strat. Yeah. And where high ground control and flexibility isn't so much an issue. So if you're expecting to run into a team that plays really aggressive counter dive, switching towards the... Wow, Izayaki just murdered Sky. Switching towards the more poke style ball comp is a pretty good switch because it puts a lot less pressure on your wrecking ball to have to go in and get something done on those dives. Right? You get most of your value from the poke part of your composition. They're just gonna run standard ball comp here. Yeah, and it's so oppressive. They're gonna get it. It's boss Sigma comp turbo, not not that one. Ball Sigma, or even better, hybrid. Rain did get a really good push though, so we'll see how they respond. There wasn't as much Orisa Sig as I remember in this map. What are the next maps, Turbo, after King's Row? They posted in Big Brain? Yeah, EMP rally. Shanghai almost had 6 ults. That was going to be a rough fight for Rain to walk into. And now they're on the full counter dive comp. So it's kind of crazy. I mean, Shanghai just won that fight off of ults. Compositionally, Rain should have the advantage on this map. Good eat from Hawk. Oh no. Kai gets blown up. And they still have the trance. I think it's over. I think it's over. Gator on the Rhine. He's going to make the charge. Yeah. Not as much Orisa Sig as I thought on this point. And they didn't play it into the brawl. Or more accurately, Rain didn't switch off their double shield towards the brawl until like late third point. Do we know what the other maps are? I should know this. Volskaya and Bison. Okay. Let's see if we can find a Volskaya to look at. Here's a Volskaya. Oh, this is going to be a great Volskaya to look at. These can just be to generate some ideas for what we want to run. Of course, we want to run the Hanzo, at least if we ask Sonky. So Fuel, they're running the ball comp defense. They're like, we aren't going to win. Genji for yes, please. Pelican ran Genji in grand finals, and they took a point with Genji. So, I mean, all bets are off. Genji's meta. Except for the fact that there's so many better heroes. Hanzo Genji isn't bad with Ana Brig Monkey, but Ana Brig Monkey is just kind of a bad composition in general. In the video I linked in Big Brain today, there's an excellent breakdown of how to push this point on ball comp that Egoist did. So I think we should run it out on the standard ball comp. And please, please, if you guys get the chance, watch at least the beginning of, I think it's maybe at around 20 minutes. I can link the timestamp that he talks about Volskaya. But it's really cool. Yeah, most things are worse than ball comp at this point in time. Which is kind of fun. Ball comp's good. Hold on. Where's Shanghai's backline going? So it's a mirror match. Right? And historically, Shanghai has had the better ball comp. So let's see how Phil does. This is such an aggro rotation from Dragons. Well, comp makes it's true. I mean, main tank is fun to play in a brawl as well. like a good brawl v brawl. Yeah, I think Shanghai's just playing to their mechanical advantage. But they get diffed. That's a really risky rotation because the collapse from the defense is a lot stronger. They've got the high ground to collapse on from this angle. They can collapse in from behind. And there's not really a safe positioning for your supports to kite to in this place. So the safer rotation, and the one we'll probably see Shanghai take, is into this space right here. Or not. They're going to go for it again. So this is a testament to Shanghai's aggression as a support line. Li Zhegang and Izayaki. They do not want to be... Do you guys see what I saw? Guys, Tracer's alone on point. Guys? Oh, I got this. Heck that Tracer. And Sparkle's doing too much. I bet Sparkle was mad about that one. But that's a decent play if they don't get a 5-man EMP. Yeah. Izayaki needed the Transcendence. That's a lip EMP for you. Get diffed by getting solo EMP'd. Fielder's kind of popping though, and they're going to come back with Rally. This is kind of scary for Shanghai. I don't remember if they win this map or not. I think the backline rotations from Shanghai have been questionable. I think they're counting on just having a better understanding of the bot comp. But Fuel is doing a great job. And so now Izayaki and Li Zhegang take the safer rotation along that far side. And once they recognize, right, Izayaki gets Sparkle and they recognize the disengage from Atlanta, look how aggressive they get. Right? They're checking their flank angles, checking. But they're rotating into a position where they can use their support ults effectively. And there's the rally. Izayaki's just going to hold W. Let's watch Izayaki here. I'm in their backline, guys. Let's get them. And now that they have resource advantage and rally armor, they kind of just have to force point. Yeah, really clever backline rotations. I think it was a little too risky to go along that right side. High risk, high reward. Now this is going to be a cool point to watch the ball comp on. And we'll look specifically at rotations. I should, hold on. Let me update stream title as well. Spell that right? Hold on. Okay. So supports take the back high ground. Generally, you'll see supports rotate towards the right side on this map because you can get much closer in a safer position and then push your advantage onto point. So I wouldn't be surprised if Izayaki and Li Zhegang rotate in that direction. But I guess they can rotate along this close angle, and they're just gonna force point and then trance. Is that another solo EMP? I think that might have been another solo EMP. Oh no, okay, Doha gets Fate as well. The Tracers. Tracers are having a hard time of it today. Really good disengage from Shanghai though. They recognize they're down one. They're just gonna stabilize, and this whole time Li Jiagang and Izayaki they're getting their ults back, and now we see that bottom right rotation. So the reason Shanghai rotated left side last time is because they had the Transcendence, and they wanted to force an engage on point where they could get value from it, right? Lip gets murdered. They're just having such a hard time setting up. Li Jiagong bashes out, tries to take someone with me. No, I'm telling you that Lip EMPs in really weird positions. All right, they get an advantage. Oh, Fate's dead. In the bottom right. But Fleta is just killing everyone. So they're going to get ticks from this, but they aren't going to be able to secure. Lip is just... Man, Lip's Sombro is so good, except for his EMPs. They're going to just commit. I think that was rough from Shanghai. They layered support ults. I mean, they have good point presence and positioning. But the bomb splits them. Yeah, that was, I think, the layered support ults. Yep. That's math. I think I'm in a math class this semester, and I think my teacher would confirm that. So, yeah. Shanghai having a rough time of it. The thing we're not seeing from Fuel, which is probably out of respect for Dragon's Ball Comp, is the aggressive staging. There's no aggressive staging from the Fuel support line. But I think they're just scared of getting caught. Fate's going to make the bottom left rotation. The support line is playing so passively while Void is scouting those off angles turbo, right? They missed the scout on Sparkle, and that almost gets Izayaki killed with Pulse Bomb. But they stabilized. That could have been a really rough reset. And they're going to stack in this left room. This is so bad. So there's no angle control for Shanghai here. There is a full 6 stacked in this room, while Fuel can engage from every single angle onto them. This is a disaster waiting to happen. Lip's gonna EMP. What do you guys think? Is this a big EMP, 6-man EMP, or is this a solo EMP on the Tracer again? Because I think... Oh, it's a big EMP! It's a big one. It kind of looked like he was just gonna get the Tracer there. Enormous EMP from Lip. He's farming them like crazy. They have point control. What is Fearless doing? Look at Fearless here. Oh, was he in spawn? Is that why I couldn't see? Yeah, he was in spawn. I thought he was along the close wall. Alright. Izayaki kills everyone. So, good EMP from Lip. That was kind of a bait from Shanghai. It was really risky to have everyone stacked that close together, but they were able to capitalize off of the EMP. No time left on the clock, though. Let's see how they play their defense. Super EMP examples. I should. It's yeah. It's vital to understanding math. You know? Is the Sombra EMP examples. 1 person is greater than 0 people. 2 people is greater than 1 person. But if you miss the Zenyatta, then it's as good as EMPing no one. Okay. Fuel are on the 6-man comp, but with a ball. Let's see how it goes. So they rush room. Fate's gonna get a nasty engage here. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, Fate. And they're just bundled up in the room, losing resources. Look at this peel from Shanghai, right? This is how you play against 6-men. There's no preemptive engage. They're just playing to disrupt rotation and keep their supports alive. And as soon as they catch an engage correctly and fuel our down resources, we should see a re-engage back in. Li Jiagong needs to live. Oh, Fuel played that well. Really good positioning and engage from Fearless to keep that engage alive. That was I think, an unnecessary call. But Li Jiagong is close to rally. Are Dragons gonna retake this? No, Li Jiagong dies. If Li Jiagong got rally off, this was a winnable fight. But they're gonna lose it here. It's okay, Shanghai just told us to hold for like 18 minutes. Do you guys have anyone in particular you want to spec? Or is third person best view? Third person is giving us a lot of information about rotations. So we kind of saw the positioning Shanghai took defensively to counter... What did Li Jiagong just do? Oh. Li Jiagong gets baited by EMP. Doha, let's watch that. Doha comes out of Invis, and Li Jiagong thinks he has EMP, and Izayaki doesn't have trance? No, he has trance. Yeah. Tracer defense. It'd be much better with a Hanzo, right? Much, much better. Yeah, Dragons just goofed. They want that rally back. Good bait from Doha. I don't think it was intentional. I think he was just pressuring point. Because he didn't even, like, look at the Zen. The Zen is the person he'd be looking at. Look how aggressive Li Jiagong is staged. And it's because they want that early EMP, and then they're just going to walk in. If they get in trouble, they trance. They just aren't getting enough. So, yeah. Yeah, that was questionable from Li Jiagong. This second point is going to be much more difficult for Fuel to take. Jexa used the beat to try and stabilize in that fight, but it wasn't enough. But they're going to have a lot of ults. Let's see how Doha uses the EMP. Because ideally they would catch Dragons engage with the EMP, but Izayaki's trance is going to be the issue. That's a good rotation. Mine's cool. Izayaki's isolated. Fleda's isolated. Fate's dead. Izayaki has to play so careful about this EMP. Bomb comes in. Oh, those are bad ults. Izayaki stands a chance to win the fight because Doha's hacked? Okay, that's pretty sick. Okay, let's watch this from Lip's perspective. So, Dragons know that Doha's looking for the EMP. Izayaki's holding on to this Transcendence, But Lip finds the hack on the Sombra. Oh, the trance was popped beforehand. Was it mines? What caused Izayaki to trance? Tracer defense on second point. After? Second point. I'm a little confused by that statement. I just don't think Izayaki wanted to give up a tick. It's so lucky they kill... No, they had rally. Okay, so they were going to transcend and then rally to counter EMP. But now Fuel kind of have a free EMP. They're just going to... Shanghai just has to go first. Second point after. You want to spectate Tracer Defense? They went really early. These EMPs from Lip are just so bad. What a stick. Oh, this is fine. I'm happy to look at individual POV. It's just a little harder to understand what's going on globally. This is bad. Let's go back a little bit and look at Fleda's POV. So 5 minutes on the clock. Generally what we'll see is a lot of quick engages. Quick engages, get out. Quick engages, get out. That was excellent discipline. He could have been shooting the ball, but he waited for the Moira. And one clipped Moira. Just scouting. Making sure Sombra doesn't have an easy time staging. Shanghai are going to play the close holds that Fuel didn't play. Just scouting the Sombra, not letting the Sombra get an easy stage. Oh, misses up the blink. Yeah. Flood is just hunting the Sombra, never letting Doha get an easy stage. Went for the pulse bomb. I mean, most of the Tracer play on this point, Stonky, is going to be centered around harassment and opportunistically looking for picks. There's also just not much Fleta can do against this composition without support from his ball engaging or from an ultimate like EMP. So Dragons lose this next fight, and I think it's because of the EMP from Lip being too early and too out of position. Because they're going to EMP and take a 4v6 in this fight. I wonder if Lip asked them to bait this room. That's a one-man EMP. Counter EMP comes through. Yeah. The engage was too late. This stick is clean though. Yeah, it's just not quite enough. The fuel composition is similar to the composition I suggested a bit ago on Anubis. The fuel composition is focused on once they get to point, they are going to be extremely difficult to get off of point. Because of the Reaper, even if an EMP comes out, the Reaper is great against the EMP. Nice Pong. Good job. Yeah. So once they get stabilized on point, it's tough to dislodge the fuel. Even if one or two of them get picked, there's enough staying power from the Reaper, from the Sombra, from the support line to just stay alive and exist on point. Okay. Shanghai's defense. They have to keep Fuel from getting a tick. Fuel are going to try the same rotation. This is a much better engage from Fate. Right? Previously, he tried to engage in the room and get a pile driver in room, but the Fuel were just able to stabilize and there wasn't as much support. So look at where Li Jiagong is playing, and look at the initial slam from Fate this fight. They go preemptively, And then Lee Jae-gong is staged really aggressively here to be able to follow up on the Fuel being down resources. So they lose mech, they're down Diva. Fuel just have to commit and keep rotating. But now this is a very tough fight. Fate gets hacked, which is the cue for Fuel to go in. But at this point, they're still down Diva, and they're going to be taking so much damage because of it. Pretty much what Dragons did there is they just walked in. Walked in and hard-pocketed their supports. Hard-pocketed their supports while the supports hard-pocketed the DPS. And because they went early and got Hanbin out of mech, it was a free win. You guys are saying GG when it's only drawable for Shanghai. I don't know. I believe they win this game, though. A little late on the engage from Fearless, but from Fate. Yeah, they just had to go for it. Support line gets caught. How did the support line get caught so easily? Look at this. Look at this. This is sweet positioning from Lee Jae-gong. He can bash to top left or to the right high ground if he needs to. But if there's a really good engage from Fate gets a big slam, he can just drop and push. Does Void have boosters? I think Void gets caught with his pants down. No, Void! You were supposed to help the support line, not kill them. It's like, oh shoot, I was supposed to be peeling for those guys. That's kind of on Void. They did so well the previous fight. Double boop? Oh no, no double boop. Yeah, they had to hold first point, so the EMP just came out. Lips EMPs are questionable. He farms them in about 15 seconds, but they're not optimal. Let's see. You said it was Volskaya. What's the final map? Take a look at final map. Busan. I think they're Busan. I mean, Void peels so well on 99% of the points. guys, let's go in, and then you look back and both of your supports are dead. Like, shoot, I was supposed to do something about that, wasn't I? Very good. I don't know if Busan was in playoff map pool. We might have to go to an old VOD. Nepal is, so we could take a look at Nepal and see how our rotations stack up to their rotations. That could actually be good. Yeah, why would I want to keep my supports alive when I can just go get a 6k with bomb? I don't think Exu or Aloe are here, are they? Right, so we can just leave them to the dive. Let's see if we can find a Nepal. This is Shock versus Rain. It's gonna be Brawl on Nepal, right? This is not the Nepal we really want to see. Yeah, it's just Brawl v Brawl, which Rain wins. Which is pretty cool. Helios. Still no to Busan. Flame the supports while we can. Quick! Spark gameplay? We're watching some Spark today. There's one Spark game in playoffs. Is it Nepal? Oh, it's Oasis. Is there really no Busan in playoffs? No one wants to play Busan. There is Busan. It's Boston versus Defiant. Boston versus Toronto, though. Do we want to watch it? Do we want to watch this, or do we want to watch Nepal back from a dive team. So I'll probably have one more map. But time to review one more map. Because this could be questionable. I wonder if they even play. I wonder if they even play. They're gonna play the ball comp. All right, we get to see the ball comp play on this map. Okay, so we can watch a little bit of Spark. A little bit of Spark after this game. All right. Thanks, Pung. Have a good one. Let's watch some Punk gameplay. Preemptively pushing out the dive. That's good. Just gotta go help his ball now. I think Defiant just got a better surround on that fight. Because let's look at the angles here. Yeah. So, Uprising are all fighting from this singular angle, and they're not fighting for control over these off angles, or if they do, they're committing the wrong resources. There's Jerry. Jerry's not here, unfortunately, Stonky. Neither is Jimmy, sadly. Instead of trying to control these off angles by packing, like, I think Valentine's off in no man's land. Valentine needs to be helping control and fight these angles, and then once they've stabilized and they have control of this space, they can then push forward and fight for this space. And that's what Toronto do really well. They have semi-control of this space, they get an angle and pressure from this direction, angle and pressure from this direction, and then they fight forward and they get control of point. So they have a much better stabilization phase followed by just winning the fight based off of it. So it probably shouldn't be. That's a good engage from Punk. It's probably too much to have your Diva be the one to go and pressure those DPS off the off angle. It should be your Tracer or Sombra forcing them out. Maybe even your ball. Because if your Diva goes to do that, then your Diva can't help your ball with your ball's initial engage for space control. Hold on, I don't like having my skip on 20 seconds. Scouting for Sombra. That EMP was way too early from IM37. And Lastro survives, which is not good. Counter EMP is going to come through from Hisu. Good mines from Stun 1. Counter mines. So who does Hisu EMP? Solo EMP on the ball? What a weird fight. They get point control though. Decent bomb. Clears mines. Myeonbong gets Aspire. Aspire had a very good Tracer. Great peel for the hacked ball. Really good awareness, and they're going to win the fight. That EMP didn't really get kills, but it forced positioning, and Toronto didn't do a good job re-engaging with the Transcendence. So they give up point for free, essentially. And for that, they lost 51%, 52%. Right now, Uprising would be at 10%, and Defiant would be at 99% if they had been able to touch point with that trance. Good awareness from Punk to DM his ball, but I think he's letting Stand 1 get hacked too much. I didn't actually remember Boston made playoffs. They had a pretty good stage though, didn't they? Or was that a couple years ago? I just didn't watch Boston games. Ron Sato. rally in response, but they still have Boston still has their own rally armor. This is going to be rough for Toronto. Rally or trans push. Yeah, it's not going to end well. Really good juggling of aggression. He's a fake fan for watching all of them. Okay. So it's pretty standard ball comp there. Most of that was centered around off angles and controlling off angles. Whoever controlled off angles the best, using their tracer, their sombra, their diva, was able to get the most value. Let's watch Michelle. Let's see what Michelle's up to this. Because what we've talked about with you is staging close enough to your ball to help with the ball engages. I think Michelle is staged too far away from his ball here. No, he's playing to counter the TP. Yeah, you're not a fake fan. Really good stabilization. I think the target focus was bad from Uprising there. I think they could have killed the support. And so Jake knocks IM37 off a cliff. I think there probably should have been more harassment going on, right? Because despite getting a pick and then trading, they're gonna lose point and lose a lot of time. That was a great recognition from Punk that he could just go murder. But Aspire, how does Aspire kill 3? They should win this fight off the pulse bomb. Kablooey! But they don't win it. That's tragic. I guess Michelle has bomb. This is a winnable fight. Michelle's just gonna die on point and then bomb. Or not? I guess not. They didn't get their support ults fast enough, and they didn't get EMP fast enough. Mines were there, but they didn't get value from mines. They're gonna rally it. Look, they rally and they just walk it. Boston. Boston could re-engage with beat here. No, but they needed the beat for EMP. I think maybe... Oh, that's tragic. How does he die? There's a sim wall up and he's a Reinhardt. Aspire's killing everyone. Good job, Aspire. When did you see Boston in person, Turbo? Good DM. Saved micro missiles for re-engage. Now there's just not much going on. They're playing to contest point and spam out. I think Sato needs to get some engages off here. I guess they had EMP coming. No, that was well played. They were just playing for EMP. Let's watch some Lastro. Let's watch his Discord targeting. Discord's on Cass. I think they needed to walk more with that rally. Right? Didn't quite get enough from it, even though they're at 85%. They could have just won the point right there. Yeah. They got bodied by Shock. I think that's actually one of the maps that Egoist reviews in the video. Wow, they just give up point for free. That's bad. I think Michelle should have given up mech and then bombed to remech on point. I guess it's 99. It's not bad, and they can hard spam him out. It's just gonna make the fight harder. Decent chance. He's just shooting at nothing. What is he shooting at? Solo AMP the Reinhardt. IM-37 comes back on Soldier, which is going to be a threat from high ground. Somebody's got to go deal with IM-37, please. Somebody's got to go deal with IM-37. Oh, C9. Okay. I mean, they played the ball clump pretty well on that map. Played for ults. If we can be farming ults quick enough on this, on Mecha Base, yeah, I think the ball clump works. Yeah, shield break. I mean, they didn't really break shield, though. They just waited and then EMP'd him. Let's watch some Aspire. Some more Tracer play. Valentine already down recall. Valentine's doing a really bad job at contesting off angles. Wow, Myunbong just dies. Where was Punk? Hisu almost has EMP. Yeah, so they're just stabilizing, farming ults. They got a lot of value from the Zen pick, because that was so much damage just gone for Uprising. They're so stacked. This, again, they're playing so scared. Not controlling off angles, not looking to set up engage, not scouting. They're all right here. I don't see this ending well. I guess if they get trance in time. But then they're just gonna trance nothing. They're playing so slow, not proactive. So they get negative value from trance. IM-37 is gonna have the EMP, and Lester just dies to pulse bomb anyway. The EMP is good though from Hisu, and they've got rally, so they're gonna win the fight. Hisu carried that fight. Got the EMP so fast. They just didn't do anything with the trance. Now they're setting up on some off angles. So Hisu's on far left. Lastro and Enson J main. Rally and counter rally. But they're just gonna like look at each other. Funny. God. Neither team wants to commit. Because I guess that's fair, because whoever commits first is gonna. They have to win the fight, or they're gonna go down resources and they have to kite out and probably lose the fight or lose the point. No one's dead yet. Basato's 1 HP. If they get the Transcendence, this is a winnable fight. Really good boop from Anson J. Yeah, they've got Trans. I think he's gonna transit. Trans, mine in the back line. The Uprising are just getting out backlined. Yeah, and Aspire Hisu are putting in actual work. Where has Stand 1 been? Could eat from Michelle. It's just over. Alright. Well, oh, I guess I should have updated stream as well. That's fine. As an honorable mention, and just for you, Stonky, what map are we watching? I may not be able to go the full map. Maybe we're just the one they win. Do they get swept? Is it a 3-1? Do you know which one they win? It's a 10-minute map. Yeah, that didn't end well for Spark. First one. So they win the first one. Alright. Who are we spectating? Gushui, Bernard, Micah, Architect. I forgot Architect. Shy was ridiculous on this team. He was so good for being on such a underperforming roster. Let's start with some Shy. Shy's Echo was crazy. The Alarm Funny Astra backline was tough to break though. Wow, no one's just looking at him. Sure. That's why he retired. Shy retired? I didn't know Shy retired. But he was just leagues ahead of pretty much everyone else on his team. It's a really good bomb placement. Oh no. It's all falling apart. Man, they're looking so good. Just killed Carpe. Alright, let's watch Architect land the biggest EMP of his career. There's the translocator reload tech. August. Nice. They're gonna rally before the EMP comes out. He tried to bait the trance, but Alarm didn't take the bait. Micah's gonna respond. Alarm is just hiding. Oh no. Dang. That was a good boop from Hotba. Did they have a homestand? I don't remember there being many in-person games last season. None of the EMPs we're seeing are Very good. And I think Architect is dead after he translocates. Nope, no one chased him. Shockwave's on the Ash now. Not on the Sombra. Has that been that way? Is that why they're looking so bad? It's open and free to public. 70 people. Oh. Still fun though. Good to get to see it in person. Shy did not want the smoke from Alarm. Really doesn't want to have to use recall though. He's saving it for the engage. Alarm is scouting and scouting and scouting. He's never gonna get a clean engage. He needs his that's right, they're on the monkey. That's why the Tracer has no space. Shy feeds. Let's watch Gushue get a lot of value. Homestand because they were still playing online. They're losing so much space to the ball comp. Nanomi! Woo! Rally means it doesn't matter. Oh, EMP? Alarm gets blown up? Alarm should have tranced. His Spidey senses should have been tingling. And they're gonna lose because of it. Who touches for fusion? Ball? Oh, they've got Diva on point. They've got good stall, and Alarm comes back with trends. Oh, but that's... Oh, no. Oh, that was a pretty bad juggle from Gushue. C9? No C9? Just stabilizing? Oh, Gushue. No. No, Gushue. They fed. Oh my goodness, but Shy and Architect. Is Carpe gonna carry? They do it. Is Carpe still around for this season? He's still around, right? Carpe is in a constant evaluation of whether he can go on backline or whether he has to zone out Shy. Big dive. Wow. That's crazy that doesn't get caught. Okay. I was gonna say, Shy was crazy. He was like the only reason they made it. Like the primary reason they made it so far. They're just getting so much space for free because of the ball. Oh no, funny Astro. It's kind of crazy Fusion didn't do as well this semester. This year, this semester. They've always had such a good team. They just never make it. Wait, hold on. I thought that was going to be a reset, but they won. Oh, High Noon. High Noon, Mines. They're just hard zoning everybody. Good boop. Bernard would have touched and then bombed. What a good whip shot from Funny Astro. Alright. I'll probably in stream after this point. Thanks for hanging out, Turbo. I might upload this one to YouTube, but the VOD will be around on Twitch as well. Shockwave kind of reminds me of the way I play in 4300 lobbies, where I have no idea what's happening and I'm just kind of hoping to get value. I do, it's primarily for coaching. Just upload VODs from my Twitch. Nothing fancy, no crazy edits. Just the VODs, or if I don't, primarily it was to record the stuff we talked about in scrims for Yikes. They bring it back. Shockwave is just vibing. I guess he's doing stuff. I don't know why he's on Cass instead of Sombra. Maybe he just can't play Sombra. There's just nothing happening. Shockwave wants to go for the flank high noon, but it seems like, no, don't do it. No, don't do it. Carpe gets obliterated. Rallies a good ult. Hot push should have fed for point and bombed. Yeah. That was pretty poor from Hotba, I think. Shockwave was strictly hit scan like Ashville. Yeah. It's kind of sad because Carpe is just throughout the whole season he was the better player at most heroes. Hanzo, Widow, Tracer, Cass, Ash. They just never had a player who could rival him. I don't know if Shockwave was that guy. Well, he just got blown up. Alright. Spark win, right, Stonky? Spark win. Is the reason they're struggling because they're not playing Hanzo? Is that what's happening? Oh, big solo EMP. Shockwave's back on the Doom. He's about to carry. Oh. Should have learned Sombra. Yeah. If EQO learned Sombra and became highly proficient at Sombra, would have made a big difference. I'll never forget his Genji though. Both teams on TP Brawl. It's so hard to tell where the value is being gotten. Like, why? Oh, both tanks got booped. That was a really good boop from Micah. Alright. I need... He was. Yeah, his flex DPS, his Hanzo was decent. His Pharah was decent. Like, I guess that kind of sums up EQO. He was decent at abstract heroes. His Junkrat was decent. He was never like that. That one Rialto play, yeah, it was spectacular. But he only had so many pop off moments. Oh my gosh, Alarm just got one shot by Shy through the window. I believe in you, Shockwave. You can do it. Yeah. But when Genji is meta someday, he's going to make a comeback. And just show the world. Right? Genji's going to be meta? Someday. That was a good TP. Risky, but good. Whoever... yeah, exactly. He's the Walmart special rascal. Isn't it crazy that Rascal has won 2 grand finals? He played like Baptiste for Shock for a little bit. Did he play in Goats? Did Rascal play in Goats? I don't remember Rascal playing in Goats. Oh. Oh, well, that's a good wall. Bernard is in trouble. Bernard's gonna... There's no way Bernard lives, right? Oh, that's right. But he did win 2 championships, right? He was with Shock for both of their wins. Alarm kills everybody. One fight, Spark. This is indicative of the whole series. You're gonna win the whole series right here. Guys, which way are we going? Okay, we're gonna go right side. Let's get it. Oh my gosh, Alarm just got assassinated. Shy's carrying. Oh my gosh, winnable. Winnable. Oh no. Less winnable. Alright, just one fight. We got this, right? Right, guys? Classic first map. Yeah. Alright. This time, though. This time we're actually gonna just roll them. Okay, they're at 76%. Let's do something. Nice. Big window. Carpe's low. No ice block. Kill the Mei. What a wall. They beat to save Carpe. Shockwave TP's in. He's gonna die. Yeah, that was really bad from Shockwave. His team was kind of dead anyway. Oh my gosh. They win this fight? Micah gets Hoppa. Carpe's alone. Uh-oh. Carpe lives. Carpe's a legend. Gushui playing the TP like a boss. Architect gets Shockwave. It's a close. Carpe's low. Gets another ice block on point. Big blizzard from Architect. Is it enough? It doesn't get the ball. The ball's going to keep living. Alarm playing DPS Moira in the back line. Mono slams, kills Lamp. Oh my goodness, it's close. C9. I don't think that was a C9. Spark wins. Alright. I think I'm going to call it there for the moment. The more impactful stuff is going to be in the first part of the VOD. At least with regard to tonight. If you guys get the chance, take a peek at the other video I sent in Big Brain. But other than that, thanks for hanging out, for watching for a bit. I think I will. I might upload this later to YouTube. This is gonna take a while. But GG's. Catch you guys around.